everybody! How's it going? Happy weekday. I'm back to reacting and reviewing albums. Thanks everybody that checked out my last video, Why is Experimental? It took me a long time to make that, and I'm not sure how I feel about it, but I learned a lot making it. It was a lot of fun. On stream on Saturday... Wow, this guy streams? Yeah, man. Every Saturday at 12 p.m. Eastern. Holy
Swear.
I want to watch that. I'll tune in this Saturday at 12. And on stream we listened to Indigo to Souza's latest album from 2023. All of This Will End. I have a little bit of a review. Listened to it a few times since listening on stream. And like I did with the Yves Tumor album, yeah, we'll do a quick review, then show the reactions from the stream. Alright, here we are. So here we've got Indigo de Souza's 2023 record, All of This Will End. I've known of Indigo de Souza for a while now, for a few years, thanks to those iconic album covers. They've remained consistent across all three of her records so far. I've never actually listened to any of the band's albums yet. After listening to All This Will End, I went back and listened to I Love My Mom and Any Shape You Take to get a feel for how she's progressed as an artist. Indigo de Souza came out of the gate strong with 2018's I Love My Mom, creating a dusty, lo-fi, garage indie rock sound that paired really well with her raw vocals that sounded powerful and could waver and grow like a flame. How I Get Myself Killed, in particular, sounds a lot like a modern take on a 90s Modest Mouse track, particularly with the jangly drums and the loose guitar playing. However, knowing what 2023's album would have in store, the pacing on the debut did seem a little bit off, and the topics weren't as vulnerable as Indigo would get on future releases. The following album, Any Shape You Take, instantly set itself apart in the first few moments of opening track 17 with synths and auto-tune, both things that are completely absent from I Love My Mom. The track 17, it kind of feels like Bo Burnham's song about the Pringles can, which is not meant to be an insult or take away the severity of the song. It's more that it features auto-tune and pop beats to create a juxtaposition between the vulnerable subject matter and the repeated lyrics of Now That the Baby's Gone. That extra emphasis on electronic elements is carried across the record to some extent. So while it does have the DNA of Indigo de Souza's debut, it also feels a bit more sanitary and isolated. At the same time, the themes on the album were maturing, so it felt as though as Indigo became more vulnerable with her lyrics, the music became more distant and less intimate as a sort of subconscious defensive mechanism. And then enter All of This Will End, the 2023 record, which I believe is her most fully realized and best album yet. The auto-tune and synths that made some appearances on the prior record are largely absent here, and instead she has really improved the quality of production on the record, taking it from the rougher garage rock of her debut to a much more full-bodied and fleshed-out sound. There are trumpets, slide guitars, and occasionally synths, but they all perfectly align with the sound of the album, so they don't sound like the band is trying to make a statement like it did on the sophomore record. The album is also filled with her most vulnerable lyrics yet. You Can Be Mean is a direct attack on the song's subject. Parking Lot utilizes compressed drums to create a melancholic and nostalgic beat as Indigo dives into some of her darkest lyrics yet, wrapping the song up with the line, "Maybe I'll just always be a little bit sad," which when I heard it hit my core. It was such a gut-wrenching moment on the album. Also, when I first listened to the album, one of the things that I noticed was the pacing. The album is almost conceptual with its themes of trauma, depression, and then attempting to reconcile and heal from it all. The length of the songs sort of jumped out to me on first listen. The album starts with 5 tracks that are all under 3 minutes, In the second half of the album, all the tracks are between 3 and 5 minutes long. The change of pace is noticeable on first listen and comes after a pivotal point in the album where it finally feels like Indigo has a moment of peace at the end of the album's title track. The trio of songs, All This Will End, the title track, Smog, and The Water, are some of the most impactful self-help songs that I've heard come out of 2023. They hit so much harder after the series of unfortunate events that composes the first 5 songs. It really felt like a breath of fresh air listening to Indigo find something that she genuinely found peace with in The Water. And Smog had a disco-y groove at times that really stuck out to me. It was the most danceable part on the album in a really refreshing way. Hearing these bright parts on the album really stood out, and it felt like it was an important statement to make, as a lot of these first songs had lines that likely resonated with the audience in some way. So reminding everyone that heard those songs that there is still hope and joy in the world felt like it was necessary for both Indigo and for the listener. It isn't all perfect and sublime all the way, or after the halfway mark, and the album slips back into dark territory with the closing 3 tracks, starting with the loudest part of the album, Always, which gave me chills similar to Wednesday's Bull Believer. Not quite at the magnitude of that track, but still it was a very powerful moment on the album, and a stark contrast to the 3 more optimistic songs that came prior. The last part of the album feels different from the beginning, though, in that Indigo feels like she has a confidence in these final 3 songs that wasn't present at the start. It really feels like she went on a journey throughout the course of this record, and that journey was soundtracked by powerful indie rock, poignant lyrics, and a fully realized indie band that knew exactly what they wanted to sound like. I'm very much looking forward to seeing what these weird, naked blue people with skulls for heads come out with next. All right, and then I'll show you some highlight clips from the stream. And as always, leave a like if you enjoyed. That the song title sort of changed meaning to me about halfway through. At first, I thought she was saying, like, giving permission, you can be mean to me. But then I realized it was more of a statement, like an accusation. Like, you can be mean. Like, you're really mean sometimes. You're really mean sometimes. And then I love the whistling at the end. It's sort of like anthemic, ironic whistling. Everybody, it's like a rallying cry. I think it's definitely a powerful statement, feminist. This is pain that I'm feeling. It's very real, but all we can do is sort of smile and whistle through the pain. Especially with the subject matter of this song, it's very poignant and like I'm still smiling, but I'm really hurt.
The shopping carts keep rolling, barely holding up. I never left. In the parking lot, I fall. I feel it banging in my skull. I'm a growing girl, my ups and downs are not
Wow, that was a surprisingly hard-hitting ending to that song. I see that the song lengths get a bit longer as the album goes on. I have noticed that all of these songs so far have been around the 2 minute mark, but this was the first one that I really felt like it could have been a bit longer. Um, the the guitars, the trumpet that came in, there was this nice little melody that they were playing, and they only had like 3 seconds to perform that before they went back into the background. It would have been nice if they had like honestly another minute to really grow that section of the song. I think it would have just been a bit more impactful, and it sounded so nice in that one part. It really felt like they could have given that a bit more room to grow. This one felt like a song by the Beths, or maybe even early Big Thief, Girl Pool, sort of catchy indie rock, female-led indie rock about larger issues, which those bands do in spades. Feels like there are different personal issues and traumas driving the song that's separate from the other ones that have been said so far in the song. It really feels like if you are looking for a band to relate to, or somebody, or a band that's gone through something similar to maybe something you've gone through in the past, without saying any specifics, then something on here is going to talk to you directly. There have been a few lines in here that have, I don't relate to everything that Indigo de Souza is saying, but like at the end of this song, when she said, maybe I'll just always be a little bit sad, that sort of resignation and realization that, that sort of thing resonates. And I imagine that a lot of lines in here are going to resonate with some people and not others, but at some point you're going to find a line in here that just hits so much more directly than any of the other lines.
Inside my cage, I watch the clouds get angry, turn and dying, and say goodbye. And so fuck all of this will end. Don't forget everyone I thought I knew. I'm only loving, only moving. I'm still real, and I forget.
That is like exactly what I'm talking about. Those last 30 seconds, where it sort of, the song changed and gave itself a bit of time to embrace that closing line, I'll forgive and I'll forget, and it became like that ethereal production, nice and like misty and bright. Like it was the first like major chord of the entire album. It feels like having that moment again, it even could have been a little bit longer. Like it could have given itself that time to grow into a larger statement, but just giving itself the 30 seconds to really it was like a sigh. It was like the entire first half of this album was so tensed up. There's so much bottled up trauma and repressed feelings that they were trying to find ways to let them out. This felt like the first moment on the album where everybody could just take a bit of a breath. It really feels like the first 4 or 5 songs on this album, Indigo de Souza was trying to release or get over some aspects of their past, and this was the first time that something's actually taken, and they've actually had a moment of, just self-peace. A really striking moment, because like I said, they've sort of thrown so many different lines at the audience. Everybody that listens to this album has been hit by at least one line on this album so far. You're like, oh my god, like I'm thinking about that one ex that I have, or this one thing that's really on my mind lately, and they brought it up in some form, and it really resonated with you. And so this part of that song is just, it feels like it's just forgive yourself, forgive whoever did this to you, and just enjoy that nice moment of bliss. It's not going to solve all of your problems, but just find some way to forgive. What a fun change of pace from the rest of the album so far. I love when the synths came in and like those disco drums, that like disco beat was playing for a bit. It was like the night, or you come alive in the nighttime. It like felt like every song on this album so far has been sort of part of a palette of colors. Very, in my mind when I listen to this, I get like earth tones and sort of muddy colors. Everything's worn down with the experience of life. Just the realization that you're always going to be a little bit sad. That sort of tone, right? You don't think bright colors when you hear words like that or listen to these first few songs. But Smog, ironically, is the brightest and most bubbly track yet. It still has those dark Indigo de Souza isms that we've come to expect from the album so far. Like I sit down, shut up, and I hope that nobody notices me. That's definitely, it's not like purely neon colors, but when that chorus comes in again, it feels like you're like freed a bit. It was like the end of All of This Will End. That last 30 seconds, you get that same enlightened feeling, like something's come off your shoulders, the other weight has been lifted from you. But in this case, it's more because you're dancing and you're pumped up, you're like with your friends or something. A similar sense of relief from the darkness that this album presents. So I think it was Wasting Your Time, or You Can Be Mean. It was one of the songs where I mentioned the trumpet part that came in, and they just had like that one line, and it sort of went away. And I was hoping that a song that went in the second half of the album, when the lengths were a bit longer, would give them more of a chance to shine, and that's exactly what happened here. Those trumpets came in, and then they actually were able to play more of a part in the second half of the song, and it was like a triumphant, it was like grabbing hold of one thing that makes Indigo de Souza happy. Like, I love the water. This is something that makes me happy, and, you know, just cherishing that. But man, the water was such a flex too with the production skills. There was so many interesting sounds going on. I mentioned the bass when the song was on. At the start, the bass is so deep. It feels like you're in the water, kind of. Like, it feels like you're in the depths, like guitar lines. And a lot of the song is very, you have to wear headphones for it. It's got stuff in the right and stuff in the left. So it's like, there's like a call and response. I really love. But then there's like guitar lines that like feel like they're like back over there. And then there are other like synths and drums and bass, and all the different instruments are very carefully arranged around you when you're listening to the song. So it's a very like intimate experience. It feels like you're in the center of the band playing. It feels like this song wants to sort of surround you with support. Like, none of the sounds or instruments are aggressive or minor or in like a dark way. It's not like they're sneaking up on you. It's just like, hey, we're over here too, and like everything's coming together to be one just big happy moment on the album.
Always believe her. I thought you'd stay home. Always having a
Sheesh. We had a bit of a Wednesday moment, huh? A little bit of a rat saw God in my Indigo de Souza. It's very, very intense, out of nowhere. Just going with the theme of this album and sort of the conceptual nature that I've written in my head so far. The first half of the album is the band poorly processing trauma, or maybe trauma that's currently happening, and they just need time to take it all in and get past it in a healthy way. It feels like at the start of all of this, or I guess at the end of all of this will end, is when they finally got some sort of acceptance and way to see past the depression and dark things that have happened to them in the first part of this album. Smog and the water were sort of continuations of that. They had their own just positive self-help, getting better sort of feel. That's the feeling that I got from it. And now we're at Always, and it feels like they've had that time alone and time to readjust and process everything that happened in a healthy way. And now they're fucking pissed. And they're calling out the people that did that. When she said, like, "Father, I thought you'd be here," it was so pointed and angry and angular. and then like that scream and that anger, the guitars came in. It feels like they forgave themselves, and they need to call out the whoever, you know, caused this pain and trauma in the first place. Feels great. Sort of like the end of Soft Scars by Yule, when she's saying, I have one name, FX Twin Flame, and Yule became this towering beast over you, and like it just found this inner power finally within herself. It feels like that happened here on Always, where the band found their power and, you know, is channeling it through their instruments. There's definitely a conceptual element to the song, the way that these songs were structured and set piece by piece. It gives a very clear through line of processing emotional trauma of some sort, multiple sorts, and finding some way to get past that, forgive yourself, become happy again, but still deal with that emotion and that trauma without just ignoring it. Songs like Always, Younger and Dumber, it feels like they've accepted it. Like the album could have ended at The Water, right here. This song, this is a nice happy ending. It's like where movies would end, right? After The Water, the credits would roll. But then Always, Not My Body, Younger and Dumber sort of remind the listener that yes, you have to forgive yourself and you have to become happy again, but you can't ignore the emotion and what caused the trauma. That's just going to cause everything to happen again. I can say with confidence now, I've been sleeping on Indigo de Souza. This is the first album that I listened to by them, and it was what I thought it would be. I've just never really sat down and given them the time to listen to an album all the way through. And this was exactly what I hoped it would be. It was fantastic. So yeah, I recommend it if you guys haven't listened to it, if you just skipped to this part of the stream, I guess.